Good evening, everyone. Good. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Robert Jackson. I'm a resident of Manhattan. And I'm a member of the City Council of New York. I currently chair the Education Committee, and I co-chair the New York City Council's Black, Latino, and Asian Caucus, and I'm on the budget negotiating team, along with many other committees, including, straightforward, the Sanitation and Solid Waste Committee. So let me just give you a little background about myself. I'm not going to hide anything from you whatsoever, because it's about being transparent and being honest and straightforward. So I was born and raised in Manhattan. Went to the public schools in New York City. My family grew up struggling in New York City, but we knew that education was the key for success. I was involved in the Upward Bound program. If you don't know what that is, that's a program where, a lot of people don't know what it is. It's a program where you're in high school. If you're a struggling student, it helps you go off to summer programs in order for you to get into college. And I got into SUNY New Paltz through the EOP program, the Educational Opportunity Program. And being involved with that, I graduated from college and looked for an affordable place to live. And I found a place in Washington Heights where I currently live. I've been living up in Washington Heights ever since, as an adult, I got my own apartment and I got married. And my wife and I have raised 3 children in Washington Heights. I got involved in the Parents Association for 19 continuous years. They elected me chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, and you know that's handling the money, the vice president and president. And then I ran for the school board in 1986, and I was elected to 5 terms of office. And my colleagues on the school board elected me to president. And that's when I filed a lawsuit on behalf of the children of New York City. We sued the state of New York because we felt they were not providing our children the opportunity for a sound basic education. And after 13 years of litigation, we won $16 billion for the children of New York City. So when people told me, you're crazy, you can't sue the state, I said, okay, I'm a little crazy, but when it comes to my children, I'm going the distance. And so part of that lawsuit, on the opening day of the trial, I walked 12 miles from my home in Washington Heights to the courthouse, 60 Center Street. And then when the Appellate Division, First Department, said that the state was only obligated to educate the children of New York City equal to 6th grade in math and 8th and 9th grade in reading, I said to our attorney, Michael Rebell, when we appealed this particular case to the highest court, I'm going to walk all the way to Albany. So I walked 150 miles to publicize this case. And to give you an example, on the 7th day of the walk, Samira Ahmed, our deputy director for the Campaign for Fiscal Equity, said to me, Robert, make sure you put on your suit. We're going to be in court tomorrow. And I turned to her and said, Samira, I didn't bring a suit. I want to go in there smelling as funky as I can be so the judges will be able to smell me in the back of the courtroom. And in fact, I walked in with my t-shirt, my buttons on, and my stickers, which said, walk a mile for a child. And so I say that to give you a little background of who I am. I was involved in a Democratic club in North Manhattan, Concerned Democratic Coalition of North Manhattan, Stanley Michaels, Brian Murtaugh, Franz Leichter, Charlie Rangel, and I was elected the president of the Democratic Club. And I worked 22 years for a labor union, the New York State Public Employees Federation, where I represented employees, mainly professional, scientific, and technical employees, in disciplines and arbitrations and unfair labor practices. No, I'm not an attorney at law, but I'm a labor relations specialist. That's my job. I was up against attorneys all the time in arbitration. But besides that, in the city council, I've been a leader in the city council. There's only 2 committees that are listed on the city charter, and they are finance and land use. And I'm on both of those committees, and I've been on finance for 12 years and land use for the past 7 years. And what have I accomplished in the city council? Well, about 4 years ago, they were trying to lay off, the mayor was trying to lay off over 6,000 teachers. And I and 27 other members of the city council signed a pledge saying basically we would not pass the city's budget unless the money was restored back for education. And the speaker, Christine Quinn, and the city council, along with the mayor, we restored $120 million back to the budget to save teachers' jobs. And as you know, if teachers are laid off, class sizes go up. Okay, no garages, I see that. And 1 minute. I saw her sign, I thought that was the minute sign. Her sign is loud and clear. But So, and then I helped to pass the first MWBE law. If you don't know what that stands for, Minority Women-Owned Business Law, because that was the first law in order to increase minority and women-owned businesses in New York City. So I've been a fighter and a leader in the city council, and I want to continue, not from the outside looking in, but from the inside, standing up for the people of Manhattan as a borough president. I plan on walking this entire borough, listening to what you have to say, understanding the issues and concerns in all of the neighborhoods, and trying my best to advocate on your behalf as president of the borough of Manhattan. So with that, I'd like to stop and entertain any questions. Madam Chair, the first one, can I answer?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
fine.
so her sign says, no garbage garage. So let me be transparent with you. I was on the Sanitation and Solid Waste Committee in which I, along with majority all of the members, voted for the city, for the entire plan, the solid waste management plan. That is a citywide plan. Now, I've been asked, do you support having that built? Well, and Julie sort of answered it. What I am for is I want to find a solution to solve the problem that exists here. Now, what do I mean by that? Okay? I'm on Q&A, right?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, you're right.
He had a sign up that said stop, and I said, wait a minute, I'm on Q&A already. But, you know, I know that this area here, okay, it's not the same area as it was 20 years ago, 25 years ago. It is more residential than almost any area that I know. And the buildings here are not like where I live at. Where I live at, the buildings are 6 stories high. I just walked from 3rd Avenue and 92nd Street. And these buildings are huge. And all of it all over there. So I want to find a solution to that. Okay? So for example, you know, if that doesn't open, okay, I would come up with a solution. How much does it cost to continue to truck the garbage to New Jersey? Would that,
Much less.
so, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm saying if it's the same or less, then that's a possible solution. Okay? Okay. If garbage is going to go to the South Bronx and Brooklyn, I'm not in favor of that. Because one of the things that I am, and I'm sure the other candidates, is not dumping the garbage on the other outer boroughs, communities that had tons and tons and tons of garbage, more of the garbage than anyone would like. So I'm looking to find a solution on that particular matter. But in order for that to happen, let me be straightforward with what's going to have to happen, is you're going to have to open up the entire solid waste management plan. And that's what people don't want to do. But if that has to be done in order to find a solution, then let's do it. Okay? Let's do it. But I say to you, it's not going to be done in this administration. It's going to have to be done in the next administration. Now, what is the role of the borough president? The borough president is not the mayor. The borough president is not a member of the city council. Understanding that the city council is the one that votes on this. The borough president can be an advocate that can stand up and fight. So I'm sorry.
That's all right. You can have one question, but if you want to have more than one question.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I just wanted to thoroughly answer that particular question.
And you did. I think everybody appreciates it.
Okay.
Fred?
Betsy, thank you, Betsy. Councilman, last night you were at my union's meeting.
Yes.
You were one of the candidates being considered. You were asked a question that I'm sure you expect to be asked, but your answer amazed me. Mike Troman asked you on your vote about extending term limits 4 years ago. And your answer was, when you asked to explain your vote, you personally want for it, but your constituents and the people in your neighborhood wanted that. It is incredibly difficult to believe that the people in Washington Heights wanted term limits to be killed so Bloomberg could fill another term.
Can I tell you what I answered?
It's like trying to tell me that the moon is made of green paint sheet.
Okay. Well, let me give you a fact.
Instead of green sheet.
Let me give you a fact, and you can go look up the facts yourself if you don't believe me. We talk about transparency and honesty. And one thing about me, my honesty and integrity will not be questioned. I didn't say, you know who said Washington Heights? Your financial secretary, she said it. I did not say that. Let me tell you what I said. The question was asked of me, you know, did you vote for an additional term limit? And I said, yes, I did. Okay? But I said, and they said, well, you gave Bloomberg another term. And I said, no, I didn't. The people of New York City who voted for him and those that did not vote gave Bloomberg another term. We opened the door for ourselves. I didn't care about Bloomberg. That's what it is. But let me tell you what I did say. I said, if you look at the vote, go look at the Board of Elections. Manhattan, the majority of the people said no to term limits when it was asked. They said no to term limits. It wasn't like 65-35. It was like 52 to 48, something like that.
19 to 29.
The majority of the people on the initial vote said no to term limits. So I say to you, the rest of the boroughs, the other 4 boroughs said yes. So citywide, it went through. But the majority of the people of Manhattan said no to term limits. And I said, in response, I said, I didn't represent the entire city of New York. I represented Manhattan. But for me as an individual, I was never in favor of term limits. And let me tell you why. Because every time I'm elected is for a specific term in which my constituents will either re-elect me or not elect me. That's where I'm from. Stanley Michaels was my representative for 24 years, and I say to you, I would have voted for Stanley again.
Would you like one more question, or would you like...
No, I would like 3 more questions.
Well, you're going to get one more.
I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
We have one right over
I just
there.
wanted to thoroughly answer, that's all.
Which you did.
Okay.
All right, quick question. My son goes to PS 151.
Where's that located at?
It's right over here.
Okay, go ahead.
What are we going to do about the trucks coming in for that school? How are we going to make sure that we don't have what's happening down up in 116 with Target and the trucks and the kids next to PS 116?
You mean trucks coming into school or around the school?
The garbage trucks coming to Asphalt Arena. I
Okay,
think is what you
well, if in fact, if the Marine Transfer Station isn't built, then hopefully it won't be an issue.
That's hopeful, but right now
Right,
we're facing reality, right?
but you're asking me a question, what if in fact...
Well, we need a plan for the plan. Do we have a plan?
No, you don't have a plan. The Marine Transfer Station is scheduled to go forward. The lawsuit and others, and whatever commitments that you're getting from the next mayor, when you ask mayoral forums, that's going to give you an indication where they're coming from. Because quite frankly, unless the next mayor is willing to, and the city council are willing to open up the solid waste management plan, it's going forward. So hopefully your lawsuit and the pressure that you're bringing will force the elected officials in order to reopen it up, okay? And force the city council in order to address that. So, and that's really the bottom line, but and so I hope that there's no garbage trucks going in there. That's what you hope not. But let me tell you, as someone that has filed a lawsuit that built all of these schools, I won $11.2 billion in capital money. We want schools built for our children. We want class sizes to be reduced. And those are the positive things that we want. Because, I did a survey of my constituents, and the primary issues that came back was jobs, education, affordable housing, health care, immigration reform. But if you go on my city council's website right now, you will see that the most